Hello everyone. Welcome to Mary's Little House. So glad you came back. You've been so good just to come and visit me. I am very blessed by your presence over YouTube, by way of YouTube. Today I want to celebrate the law of divine love. God's law. That's it. It's a law, but he deserves all our love. So it is a law. He is in justice, deserves our whole heart, our whole soul, our whole mind, our whole body, our whole strength, everything, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. But when we, but it should be not just a law of obligation, but a law of love. That, like Jesus, his whole life was to love the Father. He lived the divine love. He loved the Father with all his being, with all his divinity, with all his humanity when he became one of us. And he teaches us how to love. But one of the greatest theologians in the whole history of the church, St. Thomas Aquinas, talks about four desirable things that when we live the law of divine love, love of God and love of neighbor with all our being, four desirable things happen. And I'm going to talk to you about them tonight. Okay, first, this law of divine love, this law of loving God with all our heart and our neighbor as ourselves, it causes spiritual life in him. For it is clear that the one loved is naturally in the mind of the one loving, and therefore whoever loves God has God in him. Isn't that true? When we love someone, they're on our mind, they're on our hearts. All those love songs talk, we sing about them. They're inside us, in our minds and hearts and thoughts and memories. So they're inside us. So God is spiritual. Our spiritual life starts. We start to relate to God, who is spiritual, out of love, that union of love. When we love someone, they are naturally, on a natural level, they're in us, in our minds, always thinking about them and calling them up and all, and in our hearts, and God is in our. So we have a spiritual union going when we love, and God is in us. Love is union, isn't it? Of two persons, union as close as we can get to the other. Love is intimacy, and so when we love God, there's an intimacy, a spiritual union. That's what we call our spiritual life. Okay, now that's the first thing, that God is in us and we are in him. Okay, union, spiritual life when we love God, the divine law of love. Secondly, charity causes the divine commandments to be observed. When you love someone, you want to please them. That's exactly the beautiful definition of love, what we talked about some time ago. When we love someone, we wish the good of the other, even more than our good. We wish the good of the other. In fact, the good of the other is what we desire more than our own good. We transcend ourselves. We go look out for the other, not for number one, but for the other. And so when we love God, we will naturally keep his commandments. Even Jesus said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. How can we love someone if we do something that will offend them or hurt them or not be according to their desires to act? So that's the second desirable thing of the law of divine love, is that we keep his commandments. Like, never is the love, Pope, he quotes St. Gregory, never is the love of God a burden. We say, love, there's no labor. I want to please you. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how much effort I have to put in, because I love you. I love you. It's not a burden. Nothing's a burden anymore. Isn't that great? Life isn't a big, a pile of mud or anything. It's and boring, because we love. We love, and nothing. So never is the love of God a burden, for it does great things wherever it exists. It's ready to do anything. Moreover, if work is a failure or despised, their there, divine love is not present. If we despise our work and say, "Oh, I can just live 9 to 5 and get out and go to real life again," and just sort of put in our time, then we might be lacking in the love of God, because it's never a burden, it's never despised, and it's always successful, even when it fails. We could go talk about that later. Hence, an evident sign of charity is promptitude. We're on the ball. When we love, we don't say, "Hold it here, I want to do something." No, we want to do it right away to please the other. I know so many holy people. They're prompt. They're prompt with God. They're prompt with everyone else too, and they get things done. And they're just energetic, and it does do things with great dispatch. So, an evident sign of charity is promptitude in observing the divine commandments. For we have seen that the lover does great and difficult things for the sake of the beloved. Of course he does, or she does. That's what love is. So divine love makes our life not a burden on all our tasks we have to do, but and the harder they are sometimes. That's the next one here. The third thing which love accomplishes is that it becomes a stronghold against adversities. Here we go. This is an interesting one. For to the one having charity, love, no adverse circumstance can injure him. But on the contrary, adversities become useful to him. Hello, adversities become useful to him. Moreover, adversities and trials become delightful to one loving God, as we clearly see from everyday examples among us. One example is one of my stepsons was asking a lot of me, and he was bemoaning and lamenting that he was causing me so much trouble. He wasn't causing me trouble. He was just trying to. But anyway, I told him, I said, "You know what? I love you. And when you ask these difficult things of me, it's a way I could show you that I love you, that there's no baloney. I love you. And the difficult adversities are things you're asking of me, is a way you give me a chance to love you, to really express my love for you." So adversity becomes a way of showing how much we love God. Sacrifice becomes a way of showing the beloved God, in this case, how much we love him. So see, so don't be afraid of adversities. Those are occasions that we can love more and show that to the beloved, to the Father, to God, and in our daily lives to our ones we love, that God gives us to love. And the fourth and last thing which charity does for us is that it leads us to happiness. Did you ever see a lover unhappy? It is, everybody loves a lover. When I was a kid, we used to, everybody loves a lover. There was a song that way. Everybody loves a lover. When you see the bride and groom, I was in Europe and all over, and I didn't even know the languages, but we saw a bride and groom, we all clapped, and we would hoot and holler for them. Everybody loves a lover. And they were very happy that we did, that these foreigners were clapping out there as they were coming out of church. So love of God leads to happiness, for only to those having charity is eternal happiness promised. So those who get into heaven are the bottom line is, how much did we love God and and for the love of God love our neighbor. That's the only ones who get to heaven. The other, I don't want to talk about that, but other people who just live for number one, they're going to have a hot time in hell, So over my dead body, nobody's going to go to hell. But anyway, but the way you go to heaven is by loving. So a charity or love leads to eternal happiness. Promised, and we're promised. Jesus said he's going to come back and get us. He says, I'm leaving now, but I'll come back and get you and bring you to my Father's house. Yea, more, without charity, all other things are as nothing. Oh, I remember I was talking to an alcoholic, and he was struggling, and he was very well to do, and he could go to all these bars with all those chrome bar things and chrome everything, all glitter and glitz, I saw how, and he was drinking, and he had all the beautiful women and all that stuff, and I saw how empty his life. I saw how empty his life was. It was just nothing, and he saw it too. And the conversion came. There's nothing. All the glitz, all the martinis, and all the sending drinks over there, and talking to this lovely woman, precious woman. All of that stuff was nothing. It was empty. Without love, there's no soul, there's no life, there's nothing. It's empty, 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 and it's empty now, and it's empty in hell afterwards without love. Okay. Be it remembered, therefore, that according to our degree of charity, of love, will be our degree of eternal happiness, and not according to any other virtue. So you see, love is everything. So God is calling us to love, to the joy of love and of being loved. God bless you, dear people. I'm so happy you came. Bye-bye.